everybody, welcome back to the channel. Behind me here you see my 1970 Dodge Challenger RT SE. And SE is the thing we're going to talk about today when it comes to the one thing that I couldn't find hardly any information on. Had to work it out myself, and also with the help of a few other people. We're going to talk about the one-piece headliner that these things come with. A very rare thing to find these days, more difficult to reproduce, but it can be done. I want to show you how I handled it, and hopefully it'll help other people that are in the same position. I looked all over, couldn't find a lot of actual information or videos on exactly how to put these things in without having previous knowledge of it. So I hope this helps you if you come up across this or you're doing the same thing. Like, comment, and let's move on. Let me show you how he did this. To anyone that's tried to restore a 1970 Dodge Challenger, you've come up against this. This is the backer board to the SE one-piece headliner, and they are a nightmare. Thankfully, SE Headliners has come up with this replacement. This is a very nice fiberglass version. I opted to get the version with the fabric already on top of it. It's very sturdy. It fits really well. It has the contours just like the original. On the backside, you can see all the holes that are pre-cut for everything. You got the visor holes, which are major supports. You've got the two up front here for the rear view mirror. We've got 4 holes for the overhead console, which is right here. There's 4 bolts to hold it in. And there are also 2 holes in the back, which hold the center console and the main structure up. These are the lights for the auxiliaries, the low fuel and door ajar lights. Another sun visor hole right there. And these are the 2, they did these slotted deals. This is for the seat belt hanger, which actually screws to right here. I actually have 2 of them on mine. I'm only going to be using 1. This is where the rear view goes. This is one of the holes for the sun visor. And that's the supports for the belt bracket. Okay, here I have the console is mounted on the new headliner. I've already pre-punched the holes for the sun visors through the fabric. It makes it a lot easier so you can see it once you get the unit in there. I found that my rear view had 3 screws, but this headliner only had 1 punched through. Yeah, you can see a little fabric tear there, but that's a preliminary. This is what the rear view mirror looks like when it goes through. And that's a major support structure for the front of the headliner. All right, what I'm doing here is we're going to find that hole, and then we're going to take the pick, and we're just going to go ahead and poke through. Go ahead and mark those holes. So when we have the headliner in position, we're not looking around for where these screws are supposed to go. The seatbelt shoulder bracket shown here goes where those 2 slots are, so I opted not to go ahead and poke these 2 slots out because they give a lot of room for adjustment, and I figured it'd be a whole lot easier to do it once it was hung, which was absolutely the case. And these are the actual brackets that screws to. Mine has 2. We're only using 1 here. So we're ready to put it in now. The easiest way to do this was without the windshield in. I was told this is a 4-man job, but I'm going to show you how I did it by myself. Up here is the console wiring. Get that in place. You don't want to mess with that after you got this thing in there. That's for sure. Now, with the help of some 2-inch web strapping, I slid the console through the windshield opening and suspended it in 2 different places. This gave me plenty of flexibility. I didn't need people standing around. I could work at my own pace. The next thing is to make sure to get the console wiring through the front where the indicator lights are. And then we're going to move to the first attachment point, which is the back of the console, these 2 screws here that go through the back, and that's your first attachment point. For me, the second was the rear view mirror attachment, and then we're moving over to the first seat belt hole. Find it, get your bolt, get it through there, bolt it in. First shoulder belt holder. Sorry I didn't show that going in, but it went in really easily. And this is the cover. You slide it on, makes it all pretty, and Bob's your uncle. And here's a shot of the passenger side installed. Now we're moving on to the first visor install. This is a very important attachment point. A little more difficult than the rest of them because you got 3 holes to deal with. It's kind of hard to get the screwdriver in there. But first thing you do is you want to poke through there with your razor knife so the bolt assembly to that visor will slide right in. Push it in. Now we're moving on to the first sail panel trim piece. There's a little clip back here that goes in a specific hole. There's several holes stamped in this body, but this is the one right here we're going to be going in. So line that sucker up, get it right. We got to put that in before we can put that metal piece of trim around the top of the door there, so that's why we're doing this next. Once we got those first attachment points up and the sail panel in, we can put the door trim over. Start with the back and work this thing up. You need to get this kind of in place before you put the A-pillar cover on, which we'll be doing next. Now it's time to put that A-pillar trim on. This goes on after the side door trim is up, the upper trim, and before the front trim goes on. They all kind of go together there. We're moving on to the front trim now. This is the last of the hard trim that you'll be putting in. There's 5 screws, I believe, total in this. That holds the very front of this liner up and gives a nice finished look. You'll be doing this once you have all the other hard trim and sail panels in. Pro tip here, use one of these awls to line up your screws. Man, does it make the job a whole lot easier. Sometimes trying to fit those screws in there can be a real bear. Use one of these, you'll be much happier for it. Now the last piece to go on is the small window trim ring. Pretty straightforward. I think there's 6 screws that hold it on. Finishes everything off. And here's the end result. I want to thank Claude at SE Headliners for helping me with some advice on this, and what a great product. I highly recommend them. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.